So, do you remember graphing lines?
No.
Remember y equals mx plus b?
No.
Those were the good old days, right?
Hell no.
I already know it's gonna be a bad day.
Okay. So, we're going to go back towards that direction, graphing lines, where we have this thing called a slope. Remember how a slope works? How you have rise over run? Does that sound vaguely familiar at all? Should have been very easy. Today should be about that easy. Okay? So, we have an equation here. This should look mostly familiar. What's familiar about it? H, K, and A. What is missing?
B.
I will direct you here. For now, we will skip the B changes on these guys. So, what do you think A is?
Vertical.
Vertical what?
Stretch, compression, flex.
Yep, stretch,
Compression.
compression, or what? Reflection. What do you think H is?
Okay.
Anybody? A horizontal shift or translation. Okay. A vertical shift. Could you take a wild guess as to what you think the vertex is?
HK.
HK. You guys are all geniuses. All right. Domain for all of these. Guess what? For all of them, all real numbers. Does anyone know the shape of this graph, by the way? Nope. It's the next letter. It's a V. When A is positive, you have a V that opens like that. So your range is y is greater than or equal to k. Also, your end behavior when you have a positive A value, both ends are going what direction? Up, so both ends go towards positive infinity. So this is when you have positive A. When you have negative A, what do you think goes on? The V goes down, which means the range is y is less than or equal to k, and your end behavior, both sides go towards negative infinity. Thank you. Tiffany? Okay, so let's get to graphing. We have 4 graphs. Each graph should literally take you about less than a minute, but at the very most, less than 2 minutes. So, I'm not even requiring you to do an XY chart on these. Okay? First thing though, we're going to start off with the parent graph, the mother function. What would the vertex be? What would the HK be? 0, 0. Now we're going to talk about this thing called the slope. Slope is illustrated by the letter M, right? So the slope on the right, you're going to find that by finding your A value. So what's the A value here? A would be in front. If there's nothing in front, what does that mean it is? 1. Can't be 0, because if there was a 0 in front there, wouldn't that be 0 times something, which would make it disappear, right? Has to be a 1, because 1 times something lets it stay. It doesn't make it become 0. Now, when you first learned slope, you learned it as rise over run. Do you remember that? So you had a fraction. How would I write 1 as a fraction? 1 over 1. Guess what? There's your rise and your run. Which direction is which? Rise is up and down. I always think of you rise out of bed. You're going to get up out of bed. You run sideways. Not sideways, literally. You run horizontally. You don't run vertically, right? You're not running straight up or straight down. Anyways, okay. So let's see. She forgot to actually put in our graphs here, but these graphs are so quick we can just throw one in really quick. So there's my axes, okay? And I'm just going to put maybe 4 lines in each direction, or 4 little tick marks there. And these are not going to be perfect graphs because I'm doing these completely by hand. If I had graph paper, they would be much more lovely than what I'm going to be able to do. But I'm going to start off with my vertex. Where is my vertex? Right there. 0, 0, correct? Now, I'm going to use my slope. Notice it says slope on the right. So I am going to go 1 for my rise. What does that mean? Up 1, and then 1 for my run. To the right 1. Do that one more time. Up 1, right 1. So my first 3 points are right there. That is the right side of my V.
Do we always do 3?
Mm-hmm. Your vertex being one of them. Mm-hmm. Now, that's half the V. The other half is a mirror image. So I'm going to go back to the vertex, and I'm going to go up 1 again, but this time I'm going to go over 1 the other way for my next point, and then up 1 and over 1 the other way for my other point. That makes the other half of the V. Easy? Should be. What's my domain? Always going to be all real numbers. What's my range? Positive A value, so that means Y is greater than or equal to K, which is 0. End behavior, both ends are going up. Stinking easy, right? Next one, what's the vertex? 0, comma, negative 3. We only changed the H sign. What is the slope on the right? 2. So that means I'm going to do what? Up 2 over 1, because I have to think about it as a fraction. So let's set this up. Again, about 4 tick marks in either direction should be adequate. Now before I graph this, just a couple questions. Is this V going to be going the same direction as the one that I just did? Or is it going to be reflected, and is it going to go down? My A value is still positive, so there's no reflection going on, right? How is this going to be different than the original one? Describe the transformation for me. It's going to be shifted down 3. What else? Stretched by 2. Now what's funny is when you stretch a V, it actually makes it skinnier. So it's going to look a little different. Alright, so my vertex is at 0, negative 3. That's my starting point. And from there I'm going to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So the reason why it's skinnier is because that slope of 2 is actually a steeper slope. How do I get the other half of the V? Go back to the vertex, go up 2, left 1, up 2, left 1. Again, it would be much lovelier if it was on real graph paper. What's my domain? Domain? All real numbers. What's my range? Greater than or equal to negative 3. Both ends are going up. Still good? Next one, what's my vertex? We don't have a spot for it, but I'm going to write a spot. Where's my vertex? 1, comma, 0. What's the slope on the right? What's my A value? Negative 1/3. Now, I need to be careful. Where does the negative go? Does it go with the 1 or with the 3 or with both? Don't ever say both. Because if it went with both, you'd have a negative over a negative, which is actually a positive fraction, not a negative one. It goes with, it's just easiest if we always throw it with the top. So I'm going to call it negative 1 over 3. So that way my rise, instead of going up 1, I'm going to go down 1. So, let's draw on our graph. My vertex is at 1, 0, so it's over here. And to find my slope, I'm going to go down 1, right 3. Now, I can't fit another point on my graph, so I'll just have to survive there. If I go back to the original vertex and I go down 1 and the other way 3, I have the other side of the V. So the V should look like that. What's the domain?
All the numbers.
All real numbers. What's the range? Y is less than or equal to, it's going down. So it's less than or equal to what? 0. And both ends going down means the end behavior. Both of them are negative. Okay? All right, you take a minute and do the next one. The last one. What's my vertex? Negative 1, 2. So negative 1, positive 2. What is my slope on the right? Negative 3, which I'm going to think about as negative 3 over 1. So starting at my vertex, I go down 3, right 1, down 3, right 1. That's the right side of the V. Go back to my vertex, and this time go down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1. What's my domain? All real numbers. My range? Y is less than or equal to 2. And my end behavior, both ends are going down. Now, remember when we graphed parabolas, and your teacher may have marked down on you if you had too pointy of an end, if you didn't make it actually like a curved U shape.
Yeah.
The reason is because it has to be distinguished from this graph. When you're looking at it, it does have to have a curved bottom when you're graphing a parabola, versus these guys, it's literally two straight lines coming together to make a V. Okay?